Hi, my name is Tim Mobley, and welcome to How to Checkmate with the King, Bishop, and Knight, and so much more. That's the title of my book, in stores everywhere. And today's lesson will focus in on not algebraic notation, but descriptive notation. That's the old notation where if you're my age, you learned it when you were very young and you swore it's the best thing ever. And so when the new one came out, we were like, what is this? It cannot compare. But the truth is, as we all know, and we've all figured out, it does more than compare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain descriptive notation. And I'm going to explain it fairly quickly in case you run across books that still have the old chess notation in there. All right, let's begin. If you do not know algebraic notation, you should go back to my previous video that talks about using algebraic notation to write down your notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into descriptive. Now to begin with, you can eliminate all of these letters and all of these numbers. Just forget about them. They don't exist. Now what we're going to do is we're going to split the board in half. So this half is going to be the king side, and this half is going to be the queen side. You guessed it. Now, the way this works is, once again, same as with algebraic notation, each of these pieces have code letters. Now, what's the same is the code letter for the king is the letter K. The code letter for the queen is the letter Q. The code letter for the bishop is the letter B. The code letter for the rook is the letter R. The code letter for the knight, even though knight is spelled K-N-I-G-H-T, for algebraic notation we use the N. But for descriptive notation you'll see K-N for the knight. So we use K-N for the knight. And what else is different is we have a notation for the pawn, which is the letter P. So in algebraic notation, we don't use the letter P. We just go E4, E5, like that. But, so we're going to start off with this game that we played last time in algebraic notation. And we're going to do the same thing for descriptive notation. So, for example, the first move that white makes is E4. Here's E, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we put the pawn there, E4. Because if it were a bishop, it would be B, E4. Well, here's how it differs. Here's how descriptive notation differs. Instead of saying E4, we would say P for pawn. And instead of using these letters, we would use the file that the king is on, and the king side. So, this would be pawn to king 4. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's pawn to king 4. So this is the king file. This is the king's bishop file. This is the king's knight file. And you guessed it, this is the king's rook file. Now on this side, this is the queen file, the queen's bishop file, queen's knight file, queen's rook file. So, our first move is pawn to king 4. Just like that. Now, black moves to E5. So, E5. How do we say that in chess notation? This is also a tricky part because each side treats it as though they're the beginning part. So this is the beginning part. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But black treats this as the beginning part. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So in this case, black would also be pawn to king 4, just like that. So that's also pawn to king 4. And as I talked about in algebraic notation, what you want to do is you want to, in actual games, you want to write down your notation, then you want to make your move, and then when your opponent makes their move, you write down their notation, and then you write down your notation again. You should think about it, and then you make your move. So, pawn to king 4, pawn to king 5. Now this descriptive notation says QH5. I mean algebraic notation. QH5. So here's H, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. And then we move the queen there. QH5. In descriptive notation, right here, this is the king's rook file. So, and this is king's rook 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're moving the queen there. So what we would do is we would write queen Q to K R 5. Just like that. So queen to king's rook 5. Now next we have N C6. Here's C, C8, C7, C6. And then of course we move the N there. So in descriptive notation, what follows this? This is the queen's bishop file. So we would go knight to queen's bishop 1, 2, 3. So that would be K, N to Q, B, 3. Just like that. Now, the next move is BC4 for white. So here's C, C1, C2, C3, C4, and we move the bishop there. Now, in descriptive notation, we would write it as, well, this is the queen's bishop file. So it would be bishop to queen's bishop 4. So we'll write that down. Bishop to queen's bishop 4. Just like that. So this will move right there. Then, next is NH6. So here's H, H8, H7, H6, and we move the knight there. Now, how would we do that in descriptive notation? Well, which file is it? That's right. It's on the king side, so it's the king's rook file. And it would be 1, 2, 3. So that would be, we move the knight there. So that would be knight to king's rook 3. So it looks like that. And then we move the knight. Now, the next thing is D4. So, here's D, D1, D2, D3, D4. And because it just says D4, we would just move the pawn up here. So how would we write that in chess notation? Well, first off, this is the queen's file. So we would write pawn to queen 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's pawn to queen 4. Now, believe it or not, I actually grew up with this, so I know this better than I know the algebraic notation, even though the algebraic notation is so much simpler and so much easier to learn and master. So, but when you grow up with something, it's easy to just keep it. So, pawn to queen 4. Now, the next move for black is EXD4. That means the pawn on the E file takes Now, how do we write that in descriptive notation? Well, first off, what's this file again? It's the queen file. Now, who's moving? Black's moving. So that means this is queen 1, 2, 3. So that's queen 5. So that would be P, X, Q, 5. So that would write it down this way. P, X. Actually, you could write PXP, Q5. Sometimes you just write PXQ5. I usually just wrote PXQ5. So, and that's how you take. So the X stays the same, whether you're taking with descriptive or algebraic. So that didn't change. Let's go on. NF3. So white moves NF3. So here's F, F1, F2, F3, and then knight moves here. That's NF3. So how would we write that in descriptive notation? Well, which file is this? This is the king's bishop file. So we would go KN to KB3. Knight, king's bishop 3. Just like that. Now the next move for black is A6. So here's A8, A7, A6. So it's right here. So how would we write that in descriptive notation? Well, first off, what follows that? It's the queen's rook file. And queen's rook 1, queen's rook 2, queen's rook 3. So we would write pawn to queen's rook 3. Just like that. Move this here. And now, for the next move, we would do castling on the king side for white, and that's 0-0. And guess what? It's the same for descriptive. It's just 0-0. And if you castle on the queen side, for both descriptive and algebraic, it's still 0-0-0. So, castling. Now, the next move for black is B-C5. So here's C, C8, C7, C6, C5. And then we move the B there, the bishop, right there, just like that. So the question is, how do we write that in descriptive notation? I'll give you a second to figure it out. That's right, first find the file. What file is it? Well, it's on the side of the queen. So it's the queen's bishop file. And then that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would be bishop to queen's bishop 4. Comes right there, just like that. Now, BXH6. So here's H, H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. And the bishop takes on H6. So how would we write that? In descriptive notation? Well, let's see. This is the king's side. This is the queen's side. So it's on the king's side. And which file is it? It's the king's rook file. And it is king's rook 6. So we would write B, X, K, R, X. I'm sorry, KR6. BX, KR6. So that's bishop takes, king's rook 6. And now, next, black does GX86. That means the pawn on the G file takes on H6. So find H6, H8, H7, H6, and then one of the G file takes. Remember, when doing descriptive or algebraic notation, I always like to begin with the end in mind. So find the square where it's going to. So when I hear GX H6, I should be looking at H and then H8, H7, H6, and then moving the G poem there to take. And then finally, did I even write that down? I didn't write that down. So, you see what happens? Sometimes you forget. So, let's say, how would we write this in chess notation? Well, it's Black's turn, so and this is the King's Rook file. It's King's Rook 1, King's Rook 2, King's Rook 3. So, what we write is we write pawn, P, X, K, R, 3. I have to catch myself sometimes. And then, finally, we're able to give checkmate in one move for white. Can you see it? Well, let's look over here. It says Q, X, F7, and that number sign is checkmate. So, Q, X, F7. Find F, find F8, F7, and then the queen takes QX. So this comes here and takes that. And that's checkmate because the king cannot take the queen since it's protected by the bishop. And the king cannot move out of the way of the queen. So it is totally trapped, and that is checkmate. So how do we write that in chess notation? Well, this side is the king's side for white and black. So it's king's, what normally goes here? That's right, the bishop. So it's king's bishop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that would be Q, X, K, B, 7, and then you can just do the hashtag. Sometimes you might see 2 plus signs, where plus means check, and then the double plus means checkmate. And so let's just do this here. Q, X, K, B, 7. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that is checkmate, and that is how to do descriptive notation.